Hi. So I'm going to show you a quick way to adjust for inflation in your monetary data and any historical data that you might have on an example that I'm currently working with. So this data is for crop insurance and from ranging from 1989 to 2019. And I have a bunch of money values here which I'd like to adjust for inflation before I start doing my analysis on this data set. Like liabilities, total premium, subsidies, stuff like that. And basically, there are a bunch of ways to do inflation, but the main, since I'm not looking for anything too complex, I'm just gonna look at the average consumer price index and do my inflation adjustment that way. So I looked around a little bit to do this the easiest way possible, and I found this library called CPI, and it's approved and has sort of good reviews, so it's legit. And this will we need to import this library to do this inflation with Python using Pandas. So let's go ahead and import this library in our Python. Um, I'm using PyCharm, so you could import it using the pip install, or if you're using PyCharm, you could just go to the settings and go to your libraries here and search for that CPI thing and install that package. Since I've done that already, I'm not going to do it here and go back to our code. So let's start working on the code. You don't need any libraries, just pandas and CPI basically for this step. Um, I am going to read my data here. I'm also going to do a little bit of cleaning up and removing the stuff that I don't want from there, which is not really related to what we're doing here. And now we want to adjust our monetary value columns for inflation with accordance to the year that they're from. So our data currently should look like something like this. Yes. And for us to be able to do that adjustment, basically this CPI library has a function called CPI inflate where you would put in the value and a year or a month that you want the value to be converted to, and it would do the calculations for you. But since we're working with a data frame, we're gonna use the apply function in pandas to create a new column and do that for each row in our data frame. Um, so I'm just gonna copy and paste this here. This is basically all we need. I'm trying to create an adjusted liabilities column by doing the CPI inflate function for inflate function for the liabilities with accordance to every year that it is from. And I'm gonna use this lambda thing and do this for every row, and this axis equals 1 is that so that the iterations are done for every row. And we're gonna run that. It takes a couple of seconds, and I guess we're done. So to sort of test this thing, what I would do is just I would print this thing out, and it's something like this. And if I want to check if like my adjustments are correct, I would go ahead and check that initial value. And, there we go, which was labeled this. And we can see that our initial value for 1989 was something about around $29,000. And if you want to calculate that to double check, we will just use that CPI inflate function and we'll put that number in for the year 1989, and this will give us this value, something like 60,140, something like that. And we will check our inflated value, which is the exact same thing. So our inflation, our data is inflation adjusted. And if you have any more columns, you could just add it here. Basically with 2 lines of code, all of it. Anyway, thank you.